I was always a skinny kid in high school. I'll try to find some pictures now, and if I'm unable to or can't be bothered, you can just go back and check some of my YouTube videos that I made while I was in high school. But nonetheless, I was a skinny kid. And I made a promise to myself while I was in high school that once I graduated high school, I'll start going to the gym, I would put on some weight and stop being this skinny little Asian kid. And I made that promise to myself at the start of year 12. And I thought that moment of graduating and finally starting the gym was so far away that I didn't really, need to worry about it. But it came like that. Like year 12 flies by, and I found myself in February of 2023 having settled into my post-high school life, but I hadn't started the gym. So there was a promise I needed to fulfill. And I actually already had a gym membership because I had a membership to this leisure center. So I decided one day that I was gonna start at the gym, right? I drove to the gym and I remember sitting in the car, just super nervous. I remember I had to give myself a self-talk for 15 minutes while in the car before I went into the gym. And I remember getting out the car, walking towards the gym, and my heartbeat was on, low key, it was a workout in itself. And I remember walking into the gym, and as I walked into the gym, it was brand new, I was super scared. I had never really been in a gym, besides my school gym, once or twice in lunchtime. But I had never really been into a gym. And I just felt so out of place. I was this skinny little kid, didn't know how any of the equipment worked. And to make things worse, the moment I walked in, as I walked by, everyone that was at the gym did a quick glance and looked at me, and I was like, well, they're judging me, they know I'm a fraud, I shouldn't be here, blah, 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 blah. And I scouted the gym, and I didn't know how to use anything, and I probably trained for maybe 10 minutes before I was like, nah, I'm done. And I left. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is because, firstly, if you have started the gym, then this may resonate with you as your first time going to the gym, or if you haven't started at the gym or are thinking of starting at the gym, you might be having this feeling. However, this doesn't just pertain to the gym. You could be feeling this way about anything in life, because starting anything in life is daunting, and that is okay. Whether that be a side hobby, a new business, trying to, approach social situations and make friends. Starting and trying to do anything for the first time is daunting. It was for me, and that is okay. But I want to share a secret with you, my friends. The only way you get over that feeling of fear and that feeling of dauntingness when you approach something new, for me it was the gym, volume, repetitions. You need to do that thing again and again and again and again, and over time, trust me, it will get better. Since the past, I think I started the gym in February. Since February, I've gone to the gym maybe 80 to 100 times. Let me tell you, now when I go to the gym, I'm out the car in a moment, into the gym, and guess what? Some things don't change. When I go to the gym, as I enter the gym, everyone at the gym still gives me a glance. And I'll tell you something about that glance in a second. But that hasn't changed. The gym environment hasn't changed, right? The only thing that has changed is the fact that I have done that. I have gone through that again and again and again and again. And now those things don't scare me anymore. I'm not afraid of whatever I was afraid of before. And a reason and a framework that really helped me get over that initial fear, and that can help you get over that initial fear of the gym or really starting anything new, is realizing the difference between perceived risk and real risk. The difference between perceived fear and real fear. Now, I'll quickly tell you what perceived fear and perceived risk is compared to real risk and real fear. Perceived risk and perceived fear is literally the definition of perceived. It's perceived, it's not real. Now, these are things such as people's judgments. You think that, for me, I don't remember exactly what I was thinking, but it was something along the lines of, I'm gonna go into the gym, and I was afraid, I was fearful that people were gonna judge me. But guess what? That fear was perceived, because firstly, people weren't judging me. And the reason I can tell you that is after having gone to the gym now 80 to 100 times, I go regularly, when somebody new walks into the gym, I'm not judging them. And neither are the people that I know now and have become friends with at my gym. You know that reason that people used to glance at me and still do now when I enter the gym? Is because even when I'm at the gym and somebody new walks into the door, I'm just checking to see who it is. it's just human nature. I'm just like ensuring that I'm aware of my surroundings. So that was a perceived risk, because that person, me, when I started at the gym, when I was walking in through that corridor, I didn't know that, right? It was a perceived risk. It was fake. I made it up to myself. This is the same sort of stuff when you start a business, try to make new friends, and all these other things you try. When you try it when you try it for the first time, right? A lot of the things that you're fearing are perceived. They're not real. They don't exist. You're not in any danger. For example, say if people even did judge you, it's still a perceived risk and a perceived fear, because it can't do any real damage to you. As a human, our main objective is to survive, is to live, is to be alive and thrive, right? You are not putting yourself at danger when you go approach a new person to try, get to know them, make some friends. Nothing is going to happen to you when you go to the gym and people look at you, or even if you like have bad form or do anything that's like incorrect. All those things are perceived fear. Now I'll tell you the difference between a perceived fear and a real fear. A real fear is walking in a bad neighborhood at night at 4 a.m. with money and just like that's a situation where the fear that you have for yourself could be real. You know what? Because you can get robbed. There is real fear to your health and to your life. That is real fear compared to perceived fear. A lot of the fears that we have in our life that make that first step so daunting are perceived, they're not real. And I want you to understand that, because the moment you do, and the moment you can start categorizing things as perceived fear and real fear, a lot of the times in our world, in the 21st century, especially if you're watching this video, you have Wi-Fi, so you likely live somewhere okay, right? You likely live in a first world, second world country, right? A lot of the stuff that we come across, a lot of the stuff that we are afraid of is perceived fear, my friends. So don't let that scare you. Now say that you finally have overcome that initial barrier, the initial dauntingness of starting somewhere. That fear doesn't go away. This idea of a perceived fear and a real fear, and perceived risk and real risk, comes out again and again and again. After having started at the gym, I want to share a story with you. I was around 60 sessions in maybe, and after 60 sessions, I still was a noob at the gym. I still am. I don't know what I'm doing a lot of the times. My form is awful, but I'm getting better. Relatively to when I started, I am better. But I remember being at the gym, and I remember seeing this young guy. He was definitely younger than me, a few years younger than me, and he was absolutely jacked, right? And I had seen him at the gym plenty of times. I guess my time and schedule of going to the gym matched up with his. So he was always at the gym. And I remember looking at him and I'm like, damn, he definitely is doing something right that I'm not doing, because I don't look like that and he does. I almost asked him for help the first or second time, when I thought about reaching out for help because he looked jacked, right? But I didn't, because I was afraid, because I had fear. And that fear was perceived, my friends. That fear was not real. I was afraid that he would judge me. I'm not even sure what I was afraid of, but the fact that I'm not even sure what I was afraid of is probably an indicator it was a perceived fear. So guess what I did? Eventually, after seeing that bloke train again and again, gym session after session, and maybe about 2 weeks later from the first time where I had thought about reaching out, I realized that maybe it was a perceived fear. So I was at the gym, I was doing inclined bench press, and I realized that my form didn't feel very great. The kid I'm talking about was actually there that day, so I actually remember talking to him and I was like, hey bro, could you please give me some advice on my form? And he was like, yeah, no worries, yeah, sure, do it. And then I said, the reason I'm asking you for help is because you look absolutely jacked. And the moment I said that, he just smiled, a massive smile just appeared on his face, and that smile remained there for the rest of the session. Because at the end of the session, when I was leaving the gym, we quickly exchanged names and just dabbed each other up. And that smile that I had seen when I said that he was absolutely jacked was still there. And it's not like it's a surprise, because he was absolutely jacked before I said that, and he was absolutely jacked after I said that, right? So it was definitely nothing to do with that. It was that I had just made his day by overcoming my perceived fear. And guess what? Not only did I make that guy's day and form a friend now, his name is Zaf, by the way, now. If he allows me, I'll ask him to for a picture so I can show you me and him together. By the way, he's 15 years old and he's absolutely jacked. But I didn't just, make his day by saying that. By me saying that, he actually provided me with a tip on that day to I was doing the bench press wrong, and he told me to angle my arms in so that I was hitting the right muscle groups. And after he said that, I applied those things and I felt the strain in the muscle group that I was supposed to feel the strain. So guess what? I improved. And the only reason I improved, my friends, was because I realized there was a perceived fear and got over it. There was no real fear in me asking him for help. There is no real fear in you probably asking anyone for help in your own life. That doesn't have to be at the gym. It could be outside the gym, but there is no real fear. That is perceived fear, my friends. And guess what? Another reason I'm telling you this is there are people in your life that you have access to that are ahead of where you are in the thing that you want to get ahead in. For me, it was at the gym. It was that. For you, it could be, business. It could be if you're a student at school, you have access to people in your life that are killing it at whatever you're trying to kill it in. And guess what? By you reaching out for help, it will progress. It will increase the speed at which you're able to start killing it at whatever you're trying to kill it at. However, the thing stopping you from doing that is likely risk, fear. But it is not real fear. It is perceived fear. It is perceived risk. So, I don't know, start at the gym, go make some friends, go on some new adventures, and overcome your perceived fears, just like I did. Hopefully that helped. I'll see you guys next week.